Hello there! Today I want to talk about smashing my reading goals. We are halfway through the year, sort of-ish, but I've also got halfway through all of my reading goals now, so I'm smashing it and I want to do an update. But first, what are my reading goals? I have a few. The first one was basic, just read 20 books. That was easy, did that, done that, big tick. I set myself an achievable goal because I didn't know how much I was reading, and I didn't know if I'd be able to do that because we've moved into a very small space. All our books are in storage and we can't get at them. So I thought I wouldn't really be able to read much. I'd probably read the handful that I have on my bedside table, and if we could get to more, then we would get to more. And then I got a library card and I've read more this year so far than I've probably, I don't know if it's been since I've ever read, but it certainly feels like it. 1 month this year, I read 9 books. For some of you that might not seem a lot, but considering that most months I would read 1 book. Last year I only read 22 books. I say only because this year I have read 23 already. And one of them was Alchemized, and that was 1,000 pages long. And I'm halfway through Lord of the Rings now. That's an achievement in itself. I think the reason I'm reading so much more than I have done previously is that I've got a library card and I know how to use it. I decided that I wanted to see if I could push myself to 50 books. It's something I would like to achieve, but not something that I'm like ride or die for. I'm not going to be reading many short books just to hit my goal. I either get there or I don't. Long story short, I've read 20 books. I'm on my way to 50. See if we get there. I'm also doing the Hank Green Bingo Challenge. If you follow his newsletter, he set a bingo card with some reading prompts on it. I altered some to fit me, and I've got bingo twice. Have I got bingo twice? No, I've got bingo once and almost twice. I'm 1 square away from bingo twice. But I've done quite a lot already. And the nice thing about them is that they're not all reading challenges. Some of them are things like send or read a silly poem to a friend, which I wasn't going to no, I did want to prioritise that one because I thought it would be fun. But as it happened, I came up with something organically and it just worked out nicely that way. It's quite short, so don't mind if I read it to you. Raising her kitty voice up to the rafters, tugging at the tablecloths and having rats rafters. That's something I sent to a friend after Purdy came in and just yelled at me for food. Purdy's my cat, she's adorable. I've also watched an adaptation of a book I've read, which was June. It's been a long time. I can't really remember a lot of June, but I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the film, and it's a film series. It's 2 filmish series things. It feels like films, but also a series. I don't know, you know the one I mean. Anyway, I watched that. I've also rewatched Good Omens this year with my partner, and I've also read that, so tick tick. I attended a book club. I didn't know that I'd be able to do this one because there's no book clubs around me. I am and I'm an introvert, a massive introvert. So I joined a book club on Goodreads and I've read The Picture of Dorian Gray with them, and I read Circe with them. It's not really a chatty book group, so I don't know if it counts, but I feel like it counts. It's a book group specifically for introverts. There's not been a lot of chatting in it, but Goodreads isn't really designed for you to be able to chat in that way. And the pressure's off to have to be sociable in an introverted book club, you know? Anyway, I attended a book club and I attended it a couple of times. Create something inspired by a book. This one is, I should be embarrassed about this, but I just can't be bothered to be. So this was my first unreferenced drawing. I really wanted to be really cool and I wanted to reference it and I wanted it to be nice. I'm working on the Draw a Box challenge, which is a thing where you're supposed to draw 250 boxes, but also they've kind of given me permission to just draw. Before, I've been kind of hung up on this, I can't draw this particular idea because I'm just not good enough as an artist yet. So I just wouldn't draw the thing, which is daft because if you don't do the drawing, you don't improve. So say that to yourself if you need to hear it. If you don't do the drawing, you don't improve. I don't care if you don't feel like you're good enough yet. You are good enough now. It may not turn out how you wanted it to, but you will have done it and you will have learned. And maybe at some other point you'll try it again, or maybe you're one of those people like me most of the time who doesn't like to do the same thing twice. But you will improve a great deal more if you just give yourself permission to do the things that you think you're not good enough to do yet by just doing them. Just do it. Just try. Anyway, the other thing I did was buddy read a book, and I think this was my favourite thing that I've done this year reading wise. I read with a buddy of mine, obviously, The House with Chicken Feet by Sophie Anderson. And oh my god, I've read The Girl Who Speaks Bear, and that is a gorgeous book, absolutely lovely. It's middle grade, both of them are. I read middle grade sometimes, I read YA, I read adult, I read across the spectrum, yeah. But it is fantasy and it's fairy tale. The Girl Who Speaks Bear is set in, I think, Russia, Siberia, somewhere like that. It's a beautiful book about a shy girl who finds out that she's a bit weird for bear reasons. When I say bear reasons, I mean the animal and not, nudity. And it's about her finding herself and finding her place and realising who she is and that she fits in, after all, when she thought she didn't. That one was nice and chill. The House with Chicken Legs is not that. It's about a girl who grows up in a Baba Yaga house. And my god, this girl, she just makes some of the most stressful decisions constantly. And reading it with a friend turned out to be the perfect way to read this book, because you could just turn around and go, I can't believe she did that. Oh my god. And just basically have a little scream about it. And it was a lot of fun, but it was really difficult to only limit yourself to 1 or 2 chapters. That was the only thing. You want to read this fast because it's tense, but it's really good. I do love Sophie Anderson. I've read 2 of her books. One of the challenges is to send a letter to an author I love, and I am contemplating that author being her, because the author that I love the most is unfortunately passed. Rest in peace, GNU Terry Pratchett. But yeah, that was definitely fun. I would love to buddy read a book again. The only problem is finding a buddy who reads and finding a buddy who wants to read the same book as you and who's also able to read the same book as you. It's logistics. Logistically, it's tricky. It just happened at the right time, and I'm pleased it did. Yeah, it was a good time. Read a book recommended by a librarian. I cheated on that one a bit. I watched Books Unbound with Ariel Bissett and Raylene LeMay, and I basically treated them like they were a librarian because they kept talking about The Book Thief. Not The Book Thief. Is it The Book Thief? The Art Thief, close. It's a true story about a guy who just kept stealing art. The guy who wrote it did a lot of in-depth research about this chap, met him. It's an excellent read. I highly recommend it. But basically I treated her like a librarian because I think she has enough books to consider herself having a library, which makes her a librarian. And she talks about books for a living. So I think that basically circles that square for me. Craft something dragony. That was something I did for me. I tried to put it on my list last year. For one thing or another, that it didn't happen. I wanted to knit something very specific. And I found this perfect toothless aragumi. I've never said it, I've always read it. Toothless dragon. I wanted to make that. Unfortunately, the pattern disappeared off the internet and I can't make that now. So I was a bit stuck, and then I lost the knack for knitting. By the time I found, I thought I brought it with me, but I haven't. But I found a pattern for a dragon wing cowl. I was going to get it out for you and show you, but I misplace things really easily because I'm absent-minded and it's annoying. But I did that. I ticked that one off. That was a big tick. Read a book I know nothing about. I talked about that in my reading wrap-up at the beginning. That was Alchemized, very dark. enemies to lovers. I loved a lot about this book, and I didn't gel with some other things about this book, mostly the romance. And I don't know, and I've heard from other romance readers it's because the romance isn't great, but I don't read romance, so I can't speak to that. I just know that I didn't enjoy it, but I understood why it was there. I found out later that it was based off fan fiction that this lass had written called Manacled, based off Hermione and Malfoy. I didn't find out about this till the end. And she wanted to publish it, but she couldn't in its current state, so she reskinned it as alchemized, and this is the result. So that's there also if you want it. But this is true enemies to lovers. They want to kill each other. They've tried to kill each other, and still the love happens. So if you're one of those people that I've seen kind of wanting a proper enemies to lovers that isn't just bickering, this is the one. A book with a green cover. I wasn't really fussed about doing this one, but it turned out I thought I could read, oh God, they had such long names. Oh yeah, Sunrise on the Reaping. I wanted to read Sunrise on the Reaping, and I thought I'd just read Sunrise on the Reaping on its own, it'll be fine. So I read that. Then I had to read A Ballad of Songbirds and Snake again, because I couldn't not read them in order after that. I had to do it properly. I had to read them in order. So I read Sunrise on the Reaping twice in a row. I'm just that kind of person, it seems like. Anyway, read a book with a non-human main character. I read Eragon last year. It was my challenge to try that series to see if I liked it. I liked it. I got the rest of the series. However, by the time I got to the end of the book, I didn't really feel like reading another Eragon book for the rest of the year. So I think this is going to be a series that I read one book a year, which is new to me, but you know, here we go. I really enjoyed it. It's just that I feel like if I were to tear through the series, I would get sick of it, if you know what I mean, because they're quite dense books. Yes, I can see that they're a derivative of a lot of things, but I still think they stand up on their own. They're a good time. You're going to have fun with it. Basically, in the second one, there's a dragon as the secondary character, and I can't... Spoilers? Non-human main character, that's all I'll say. The last one was read a book written before 1850, and I accidentally came across a video by Austin McConnell, who did a reading of The Masque of the Red Death by Edgar Allan Poe, and I really enjoyed that. I've got Poe's complete collection, so I want to work through that at some point, but this was just kind of nice to hear it. Read a graphic novel. I did that because of the library, and then finally read something by an LGBTQ plus author, which ended up being The Picture of Dorian Gray, which is not the LGBTQ book I thought I was going to pick, so I'll probably read another one as well. I don't mean I'm only ever going to read one LGBTQ plus book this year. It means I'm actively seeking out at least one LGBTQ plus book, because I just read basically on whatever I feel like reading. I want to make sure that at least one of them is written by an author who is on the queer spectrum. So in order to do that, that is why I've got that challenge there. It won't be my only LGBTQ plus book, obviously. It's just that I might not necessarily know that I've written other books by LGBTQ plus authors. It's just nice to make sure that you definitely do. And that's something that I want to make sure that I have on my challenge list every year, to make sure that I do. And I had a last minute challenge that I wanted to do for myself. This is a challenge that I came up with last month. I noticed when I was doing the stats that I'd read at least one book a decade since the 1800s. So that's 200 years. I've nearly read at least one book in per decade. I'm missing 8 decades. That's all. It feels like a very doable challenge. I might not finish it this year because of the bingo stuff and everything else, but I would like to make sure that I chip away at that until it's done. Basically, it's not going to be a year thing. So that's my halfway through the year reading challenge. Have you got any challenges that you're doing reading wise or otherwise, art wise? How are you doing? Are you okay? Are they going well? Have you given up already? Let me know in the comments below, and until then, have a lovely rest of your day.